Alright, we are back. Thanks so much for joining me for another video. Yes, the riffs are back. Very exciting news before we start. Next week there's a brand new riff channel that's launching. So if you only want to learn riffs, if you only want to learn songs, there's a whole new channel starting up next week, and there'll be 2 riffs a week. Every single week, so that's really exciting. So let me know in the comments if you're excited about that. But we're back with another video. As always, if you do want to learn any other song or any riff, definitely comment in the comment section below. But please make sure that you like someone else's song or riff choice. So make sure you give it a bit of a thumbs up, because the comments with the most thumbs up, they're the ones that I've done. So those are all the ones with the most votes. They're the ones that we've chosen here today. So thank you so much. Leave your comments below of what songs you want to learn. If you're having more trouble, hit me up on social media. Otherwise, let's dive into it. Some great riffs. Here we go. Thanks for the suggestions. I haven't heard this song in quite some time. It sounds like this, Blister in the Sun. And that's what we're going to learn right now. Of course, I'll show you one finger method, but I'll show you it's quite a lot easier if you use 2 fingers. So you're going to start off by using your first finger. Let's show you just the first part. On the 3rd fret of the 6th string, you play that. You drop down a string and you play the 2nd fret. Then you go back up and you play the same fret you started with. So just try that. Last little bit is you drop down a string and you play the 3rd fret and then the 2nd fret. Let's put that whole section together. Now I'm going to say right off the bat from now on, use your first finger and your 2nd finger. So every time you see a 3rd fret, you use your 2nd finger. Every time you see a 2nd fret, use your 1st finger. Because look, now I don't have to move around. Those 2 fingers just get locked in that area rather than flying around. It's actually easier. So here's the first bit that we just learned. Once you've done that, you play exactly the same thing again. So here's what we've got so far. Now, did you hear like a little bit of a pause there? So there's a bit of a funny emphasis on it. Now, the notes aren't changing, but your timing's changing a little bit. A little bit of a pause there. Listen to the song, you'll get it. It's the same frets that you've just learnt. Next, you play exactly the same notes again. Finish the riff, you play the 3rd fret on the 6th string again. So here's that last section. And then you do a sort of muted strum. So you could use this hand if you want to rest on top of the strings. And then you strum down, or you could use the meaty part of your palm there to mute the strings. Up to you. Does that make sense? Now you'll also hear a bit of a muted effect throughout the entire thing, so use the palm for that. And then the whole thing put together. Now there's no real way to sort of speed this up or to play it faster, it's just practice. So the more you practice it nice and slow, you'll really be working on your picking technique as well, because it's lots of frets in a similar sort of area. But that's it. Thank you so much for the comment, and thank you for the suggestion. Next riff. So I'll show you how to play that now. How I'm getting that particular sound is it's the front pickup, and there's a little bit of chorus. Sort of warbling a little bit, but let's check it out. Now definitely with this song you're going to want to use 2 fingers, mainly your 1st and your 3rd finger. So come on in and you're making a power chord shape. That's a classic sort of Metallica trait. It's making a power chord and using it in their clean tones. Now this riff might seem a little tricky to begin with, but it's great practice because you're playing a lot of open strings and you're also fretting, or you're holding down a lot of strings. and playing open strings below and above. So it's going to mean your fingers need to be standing quite tall. So it's really good. So even if you think it's too hard, just think, well, you're practicing heaps of skills here. So first of all, have your first finger on the 2nd fret of the A string and your 3rd finger on the 4th fret, the string below that. You want to pick down 4 strings. So you want to pick the E string, the A string, the D string, and the G string. And there's only 4 chords and that's one of them, so well done. Take that same shape, move it up a fret, and do exactly the same picking pattern. Take that same shape, move it up 2 frets, same thing. So here we've got so far. That's it. Next, what you want to do is you change shape. So you change from that power chord shape. You want to have your 2nd finger on the 5th fret of the 6th string. And you want to have your 1st finger on the 4th fret of the string below. And this time you play only the E string, the A string, and the D string. So 3 strings. So just make sure you can get that nice and clean and it sounds nice. Great. Once you've done that, you actually play your 2nd finger, but you slide it. So you pick and then slide to the 3rd fret. So let's do that. Then you put your 1st finger back on the 2nd fret of the A string. You play that, and then you play the open D string. So let's do it nice and slow. Play the note and slide. Then move your 1st finger to 2nd fret, then open D string. Great. And then the last thing is you're still holding that 3rd fret with your 2nd finger. You pick it, you slide back up to the 5th fret, and you play the open D string. And then you start again. So here's that sort of 2nd section. So let's say this is the 1st section. And here's the 2nd section. Repeat the whole thing. Again, but that's it. So thank you so much for the suggestion. Next riff. Alright, so let's check it out. So heaps of fun. The hardest thing's probably the rhythm, but once you've heard the song a few times, you'll get it, and I'll break it up into a few different parts. This will be part 1. And then so on and so on. So once you got part 1, I'm sure the rest will be nice and easy. So coming in with your 3rd finger on the 11th fret of the A string. And then your 1st finger is going to be ready to go behind it on the 9th fret. So you're going to hear a lot of this, you're going to hear a lot of this. Okay, so first of all, play the 11th fret, then you play the 11th fret, and then immediately the 9th fret. That's all we got so far. And then you finish that sort of riff or that phrase back on the 11th fret. So it sounds like this. Cool, alright, so you're getting there. Then again, you play the 11th fret and then the 9th fret. Back to the 11th. Same thing again, 11th, 9th, 11th. So what we've got so far, I know it sounds like a lot of the same. Next what we do is you jump your 1st finger down, finally some different notes, and you play the 9th fret on the string below. Then you jump back up and you play 3rd finger 11th, 1st finger back on the 9th, a string up. So it sounds like this. So that's all of part 1. Let me show you nice and slowly. Great, part 1 done, well done. Then you do the same shape, but you move it up a string. So now you're playing a lot of the 11th frets on the 6th string, and first finger on the 9th fret of the 6th string as well. So now here's the next part. Same riff, same melody, same rhythm, just on a different string. So can you play that for me? So 11th fret, then 11th and 9th, then 11th, then 11th and 9th, then 11th, then 11th and 9th, then one more time 11th, then you're ready for the next tail end. So just practice that. Then have your first finger on the 9th fret, string below. Then you go up and you play the 11th, and then with your second finger the 10th, and then finish with your first finger on the 9th fret. That last little tail bit, and then you're into part 3. So here's part 2. Great, good job. So what we got so far? Then you're up to part 3. Great job. Okay, so 2 more parts to go. You're doing really well. So with this part, I would actually suggest using your first finger and dropping back rather than multiple fingers, because it's such a quick section, and so I reckon it makes a little bit more sense. So same rhythm again. Play the 9th fret. Play the 9th fret again. Back to the 7th. Back to the 9th. Back to the 9th again. Back to the 7th. That's what we've got so far. And then you're up to the part 4. So that last little bit. Great, really quick, right? Then you drop down, so this is part 4, the last part. Drop down, have your first finger on the 9th fret. Play it twice. Then third finger up on the 11th fret of the 6th string. So what we got so far. Then you do like a little bit of a blues run and you play 9th, 10th, 11th, all on the A string. So we got so far. Then you do the same rhythm that you started the song with. So 11, 11, 9, 11. Then finish on 9. So what was that whole last section? I know it's tricky, you're doing a great job. And then you come up and you do a power chord on the 6th fret and the 8th fret of the A string. And you're done. So here's that last section. Well done. Here's the whole thing. I'll break it up part by part. Here's part 1. Part 2. Part 3. That's the entire thing. Yes, it's tricky and it's fast. But it's heaps of fun to play, so practice along, have fun. Next riff. November Rain, what a massive, massive song. Thank you so much for so many people suggesting it. Now, unfortunately, November Rain, like Stairway to Heaven, like Hotel California, they're such monster songs that it would be like a 2-hour lesson on one solo. If that's what you want, then leave a comment below, and I'm going to get a Gibson Les Paul this year, and I can maybe do the whole different series on that. So leave a comment if you want the full solo. But it's just so much, and it's so much harder than just using one finger, and it's such a epic solo. I'd just be killing it if I was doing some sort of watered down version. So instead, I'm going to show you the chords, so you can still play along with the song. the solo. I'm going to show you that bit today. So you can still solo, you can still learn the chords, but if you want the full solo, that's going to be like a 2-hour video later on in the year. But if you want it, let me know. So thank you for the suggestion. Let's check it out. Now, to begin with, this is the part of the song just before the massive solo where Slash like walks out of the chapel, and it's the vocals are like, do you need some time on your own? So that's the bit when the electric guitars first sort of come in and there's lots of distortion. That's the bit that I'm going to show you right now. Now I'll show you the full chords and then I'll show you a 1-finger and a 2-finger method. If you're playing full chords, the chords would be D sharp minor, like that with that fingering, E major, and then B major. The only other chords are C sharp minor and F sharp major. And then the solo. So those are the full chords. Now if all that went over your head or you're like, Pat, I'm not a wizard, that's too hard, let me show you a 1-finger method. So come on here with your first finger on the 6th fret of the A string, that's your D sharp note. Then you can take that finger and move it all the way back to the 2nd fret on the A string and play the thickest 2 strings, and that's your E chord. Then you could just play your first finger where it already is for your B chord. So we'll go like this. Great, and then do that again. So D sharp, E, and then move your first finger up to the 4th fret on that A string and just play that C sharp note. You're halfway there, so here we go. I'll start from the beginning. Second part. Repeat the first section again. Then the last chord progression before the massive solo is first finger back to that D sharp, E power chord, then you just move your first finger up onto the 2nd fret and F sharp. Now this is right before the solo, so you could just keep playing that F sharp note. And then it starts that epic solo. So here we go, quick recap. Great! Now I do want to show you some of a solo. It sounds like this. Now that comes in halfway through that chord progression that you just learned. So let me show you. Let's pretend we played half the chord progression. Alright, and then you would play the D sharp, then the E, then you would do this solo. So it's kind of halfway through that chord progression. Okay, let me show you the solo. So first finger on the 2nd fret of the B string, you play that. Then you 3rd finger on the 4th fret, same string, you play that. Then you bend up with that 3rd finger so it sounds like the fret next to it where my pinky's tapping. Then you don't bend down, you just sort of release it, you play back to the 4th fret. So I've got so far. Then back to your 2nd fret. Then you use your 2nd finger and you play the 3rd fret above that on the G string and you bend that up. And you bend up to the next fret and then you release, all with one pick. Here's how it would sort of sound in the mix if you're playing chords and the solo. into E. Then it starts that epic solo. So that's it. So if you want more November Rain, let me know, but that's sort of the bridge chord progression before the massive solo and a little bit of a melody in there too. Thanks for the suggestion. Next riff. Alright, Devil in Eye by SlipKnot. Massive, huge riffs. So I'm going to show you that sort of part of the song. Heaps of fun to play now because their guitars are tuned so low, I think into like drop A, something like that. I've shown you, I'm going to teach you a version that you can do with normal guitar tuning. Still going to sound awesome, it's still going to mean you can riff along with the song, and it's so much fun to play. So dive in and let's get started. Thank you so much for the suggestion. So there's a couple things that you're going to need to be able to do here. You're going to need to be able to pick quite quickly. Now there's one section of the song, and see my pick's just going down, up, down, up, down, up. Now if you can't do that, when it comes up to that section, just play this. Instead of... and then build your way up. So even if it seems daunting, follow this video along and find a way to sort of make it a little bit easier for yourself, so you can like steps, you can go up them and eventually play the whole thing. Now the other tricky thing is there's some unison chords. Now what a unison chord is it means you're playing one note and you're playing the same note but in a different octave. So you've gone from one note, same note, but just an octave higher. You know bands like Smashing Pumpkins. Use lots of unison chords, that's that sort of sound. So the unison chord that we're playing today is quite tricky because it's using my first finger and my pinky. But if you can't do it again, you just use your first finger and then work up to using your pinky. So don't get to the part of the song and think, oh, this is too hard. You find a way to make it a little bit easier for yourself. So instead of our guitars being in drop A, the A that we're going to use is this A. So 5th string open and your first finger on the 2nd fret of the D string. That's our big A power chord. So whenever I say A, that's the A that I'm referring to. So to start off with, you play that. Then we make our unison chord. So how we actually make that unison chord is you move your first finger from where it already is, you move it up a fret, and you put your pinky on the 6th fret of the B string. And you're only playing those 2 strings. So everything else is being muted by either your first finger or your pinky. And you strum like this. It's like 4 strums, down, up, down, up. Then you take that shape and you move it back a fret. So everything's the same. And you strum that, down, up, down, up. Now if that's too hard, just try and do this. You can still play along. Now the next part is once you've done that, so you then do a bit of an up strum with some muted strings, and then you play a power chord on the 3rd fret of the 5th string, and your 3rd finger's on the 5th fret of the string below that. It sounds like this. Then you start that again. Great, okay, so you're doing really well. You're probably halfway through the riff already, so great job. So here's what it would look like. So here's what we're up to. So we've done this. Now the next part is you move your first finger up a string, and you're going to play the 5th fret, the 7th fret, the 8th fret, and then the 3rd fret. Now I'm going to be picking them, and you'll see how many times down there. of 4 times each one, down, up, down, up. But if you just want to play this, if you just want to pick each note once, that's fine. So here's this section. Great job, halfway through the riff. Then you slide in from the 5th fret to the 7th fret on the 5th string. Then you play the 5th fret on the 5th string. So let's do that again. And it's up to this bit. Then it starts again. So great job. So that last whole section. Love it. Great job, everyone. Now this next section, you mute and you use the thick part of your palm to mute. And you play the open 5th string, then your 2nd finger on the 2nd fret, then your 3rd finger on the 3rd fret, then you play your 1st finger on the 1st fret, but you let it ring. And then play it quite quickly. Then you start the whole thing again. So that last half of the song, then you start again. I'll play it nice and slowly. And that's it. So thank you so much for the suggestion. And I know it's a tricky riff, but even if you want to learn this bit, that's still cool. Or you want to learn this bit. Heaps of fun to play. So thanks again. If there's a riff that you want to learn, leave a comment below, but don't forget to like someone else's, because the comments with the most likes are the riffs that I'll do next time. If you're having trouble and you need some help, hit me up on my social media. Otherwise, I'll see you again very, very soon. Happy riffing. Bye.